In the George Zimmerman trial, the prosecution has rested, the defense has rested. The prosecution and the defense have both had their closing statements, and we are now waiting for the jury to render some sort of verdict or possibly need more information. So that's ongoing. Hopefully this video will be posted before they render a verdict. But before they do, I'm going to be making my prediction. I'm going to talk about a few of the last developments in the case that personally pissed me off, and I'm going to talk about the reaction to the last video I did. So first of all, a couple of the things that bothered me. There was a statement by O'Mara, he's the defense attorney for George Zimmerman. At one point, he said, he's not guilty of anything but protecting his own life. Now we're gonna rotate back around to that statement later on, but I love the idea that he's not guilty of anything. Not just that it's not second-degree murder, but that there should be no penalty whatsoever for what went on that night. I love that. So we're gonna get back to that. But first, one little stunt that the defense attorney pulled during his closing statements. I'm going to read this in full. So, O'Mara also asked jurors to ponder what Martin was doing during the 4 minutes from when he started running at the urging of a friend he was talking to on a cell phone to when he encountered the neighborhood watch volunteer. Martin was planning his attack instead of going back to the house where he was staying, said O'Mara, who let 4 minutes of silence elapse in court to dramatize the amount of time. I don't know exactly what Martin was doing during that time. Maybe he was trying to walk home, maybe he was hiding, maybe he was talking on the cell phone, something like that. I don't entirely know. But the idea that Martin saw that he was being followed, and so he spent 4 minutes laying in ambush for George Zimmerman, or planning what sequence of moves he was going to use when he turned on this guy who was following him. I know some of you watching this video are going to be totally pulled in by that. That's brilliant. That makes total sense. But the only reason that you're saying that is because you already wanted Trayvon Martin to die and you want George Zimmerman to walk free, and you'll accept any argument that will lead to that. That's my honest opinion. The idea that Trayvon Martin was looking to attack, looking to kill George Zimmerman is freaking insane. And that is what's driving me crazy about this case. There is no evidence whatsoever has been provided that would lead a rational person to believe that Trayvon Martin was going to or interested in engaging in any illegal behavior whatsoever. He walked to a store, he was walking home. That's what we know about what he was doing. Now look, at some point did he decide that he needed to attack Zimmerman because he believed that Zimmerman was following him and would attack him? Perhaps. I'm not eliminating that as a possibility. But that does not mean that he was looking to kill Zimmerman or that he spent 4 minutes laying in ambush. And so that little stunt by O'Mara, I think, is the most ridiculous. I also hate that they were allowed to play that CGI recreation of what happened, where it shows Martin just attacking first. We don't know that that's what happened. And so simply putting it in CGI form, I think, is incredibly irresponsible. I like that the judge did not allow them to use that earlier on in the case, but they can use it at the end, so I don't understand how that exactly comports. But anyway, so I do want to talk about my prediction. I'm predicting this partially because of the evidence that has been presented, but partially also because of my, I believe, understanding of what the jury is probably thinking at this point. The idea that Zimmerman would walk with absolutely no penalty whatsoever, I simply can't believe that the jury will allow that to happen. But I also believe that the prosecution's attempt to levy a charge of second-degree murder is incredibly hard in this case, where Trayvon Martin is not here to testify and no good witnesses. The fact that they're saying they can't tell who was screaming on the phone, whatever. Maybe you can't prove that. But I do believe that manslaughter will be the charge that he is guilty of. I believe that the jury will return that. And the reason is that I think that for all that the defense's case seems to be trying to demonize this young child and trying to make it seem as if he's super scary and just put yourself in that position, I think that they understand that this would set an awful precedent for what self-defense means in the future, how stand-your-ground laws are going to be adjudicated in the future. And so I mentioned point of view there, and I want to turn to that as one of my final points here. For the people who are on George Zimmerman's side in this and saying that, look, he did nothing wrong whatsoever, I want you to put yourself in the point of view, not of George Zimmerman, because I believe that that's what you've been doing. And maybe you've seen, thugs walk around your neighborhood and they piss you off and you think about, why should I have to let them get away with crimes and things like that? I think that you've been doing a good job of putting yourselves into the shoes of Zimmerman, according to what he's said. But I want you to put yourself into the point of view of Trayvon Martin, or someone in a similar situation as Trayvon Martin. If George Zimmerman gets away with this, if he gets off without any time in jail whatsoever, think about what that actually means for the future of self-defense in America. That you could be walking across your neighborhood, or the neighborhood of where your father lives, or any neighborhood. Somebody can begin to follow you. They can be in a car, they can talk to the police can say, or the police dispatcher can say, stop following him. If at any time, no matter what goes on, you turn and defend yourself in any way, they can now shoot and kill you. If you defend yourself in any fashion, if you punch him, if you try to run away perhaps, if you scream, if you push him, if you knock him to the ground, whether he fights back or not, he can pull out a gun and he can shoot you. Because that's what self-defense means. It doesn't mean that you were attacked and you defended yourself. It means that you're free to do whatever it takes to put yourself in a position where they use any force whatsoever, and now murder is legal. Now, you are not only in the future possibly going to be in the shoes of George Zimmerman, especially if you go to Florida, and especially if he's let off, you might be on the other side of this confrontation. And I want you to think about that. I know that it's not going to sway you. You want to see him get off. You're sick of these thugs getting away with whatever it is that Trayvon Martin is getting away with, buying Skittles. But I want you to put yourself in that position. If somebody was following you, and you're the big, brave man that you are, and you want to defend yourself, you can be shot and you can be killed, and it's 100% legal. That's the America we will be living in if George Zimmerman does not spend any time in jail. Look forward to that.